Crack. Crack. On a dirt road covered with dense jungle, a ox cart carrying supplies was moving forward, and a young man about 20 years old was sitting in the ox cart, holding a piece of dogtail grass in his mouth. His name is Chiba, he has traveled to the ninja world for 20 years, and he is still a commoner. System. With a thought, a nearly transparent screen appeared in front of Chiba's eyes, and a line of characters flashed on the screen. Countdown until the system is turned on, 10 minutes and 25 seconds. There are still 10 minutes left, and the cheat that Chiba is looking forward to is finally about to start. Today, Sand Shinobi Village is standing in front of the border, eyeing it like a tiger. Konoha prepared for battle urgently and set up several supply stations on the way to the border. His current job was to shuttle supplies between the village and the first supply line with little danger. Soon, a looming warehouse appeared in the distance, indicating that the supply station was approaching. Boom. When Chiba drove the bullock cart less than 1 mile away from the supply station, there was a violent explosion, and then, the supply station rose into the sky with flames and smoke. Accompanied by the sound of the explosion, the Konoha shinobi personnel in the supply station were directly blown to ashes, and they didn't even have time to scream. Moo, F*K. The cow was shocked. Chiba was also shocked. Seeing the soaring fire, the old cow seemed to have discovered the most wonderful thing, and rushed over with red eyes. Forage. That kind of thing can only fill the stomach of a cow, and that beam of red fire is the highest pursuit of the old cow. Chiba scrambled and jumped out of the bullock cart, with a sound of paw, and fell to the ground. Haha. Look what I found. A woodleaf ant driving an ox cart to die. Accompanied by the sound of ridicule, several ninjas wearing sand shinobi forehead protectors appeared on the tree, each with playful eyes, staring at Chiba on the ground. Climbing up from the ground in embarrassment, Chiba's body was startled, and his heart was ecstatic. Ding. The countdown is over and the system is on. Welcome the host to bind the Dung fruit salted fish imitation development system. This system can imitate any ninja's ninjutsu, secret technique, and forbidden technique. Then it will be perfectly transformed into Dung attack. The Dung fruit has been released, please host to eat it as soon as possible. Successive voices sounded in his mind, and then, an indescribable stench wafted from under Chiba's body. For such a long name of the system, Chiba couldn't complain. What he cared about was what is this Dung fruit? The system clearly stated that it had been issued, but this thing was not in his hands at all. Suddenly, Chiba saw heat rising from his eyes. Following the source of the heat, his head was stuck under the pocket of his trousers. What smell? It smells so bad. A sand shinobi in the tree frowned and sniffed vigorously. As a result, the foul smell penetrated his nose and directly hit his brain. Ah. You. Not only him, even several other sand shinobi were also unbearable, and they were so smoked that they retched. Damn it. It's him. He shit. Suddenly, a sand shinobi exclaimed, causing several others to look at the disheveled young man on the ground. Seeing this, several people were not calm. I saw that the young man on the ground slowly took out Ollie from his trouser pocket. Ollie was glowing yellow, spiraling in circles, with heat rising and emitting a disgusting and unpleasant smell. The young man just held it like this, and then, under the bewildered gaze of several sand shinobi, the young man brought Ollie up to his nose and sniffed it. I vomit. This is a talent, you. It smells so bad. And it burns my eyes. How could there be such a person in Konoha village? You. Several sand shinobi retched again and again, and some of them burst into tears. Chiba didn't think the smell was bad. The reason why he smelled it was entirely because of the reaction of several sand shinobi on the tree, so he sniffed it and found that the fruit was not bad, and even had a fragrance. It's just a dung fruit that looks very similar to Ollie, but it's not real Ollie. It's just that the shape is almost the same as the real one. Under Chiba's observation, the fruit was about the size of a fist and had a golden appearance. He opened his mouth and bit the fruit almost without any hesitation. Seeing this scene, the eyeballs of several sand shinobi on the tree almost popped out, and they all vomited violently again. They have never seen this kind of scene of watching people eat Ollie, and it completely overturned the cognition of several people. They think that this young man is definitely out of his mind. Not only does he shit in front of his face, but he also eats shit in front of his face. How can a normal person do this? Seeing this scene, the eyeballs of the people on the tree almost popped out, and they all vomited violently again. They have never seen this kind of scene of watching people eat Ollie, and it completely overturned the cognition of several people. They felt that this young man must have a brain problem. Not only did he pull Ollie in person, but he even ate Ollie in person. How can a normal person do such a thing? What's worse, the young man didn't even frown at such a foul-smelling Ollie. Just like this, he started to eat in 2 mouthfuls, and even the young man's expression seemed to have a hint of enjoyment. After eating the manure fruit in big mouthfuls, Chiba immediately felt some kind of miraculous change in his body. He could feel that a mysterious force was rapidly transforming his body without any discomfort. At the same time, his mind moved, and an illusory screen appeared in front of his eyes. Host. Chiba, fruit. Dung fruit, a fruit condensed from the essence of countless kinds of dung. Fruit introduction. Can control and manipulate all biological feces and excrement. Fruit initial ability. Reincarnation of 5 grains, control feces in all organisms. Imitation ability. None, chakra is required to activate. Elementary dung fist. Manipulate feces to condense into fists to attack the enemy, up to 10 dung fists can be condensed at the same time. Septic tank. Infinite space, dedicated to storing feces. Gather the feces within a radius of 100 meters through the mind, and store them through the mouth. Dung points. 1 ton of dung equals 1 dung point, 0. Usable chakra amount. 0/0. Looking at the attribute panel in front of him, Chiba's expression kept changing. The dung fruit is condensed from countless kinds of dung. Then what I just ate. If judging by the taste alone, Chiba would never believe that what he just ate was shit, but now, he realizes that he was wrong. He even suspected that the reason why he couldn't smell the smell of feces was most likely because he was bound to this fecal system. Ouch. It wasn't really vomiting, it was nausea. On the trunk. Several sand shinobi couldn't bear it any longer. They retched continuously and vomited up all the sour water. If it goes on like this, they must be so smoked that they fall off. What made them even more speechless was the unresponsive one of the second-handed young man. Vomiting after eating ollie. This is probably not a severe mental illness. Hurry up and get rid of this shit-eating Sabi. Covering his nose with his left hand, a sand shinobi touched the ninja bag with his right hand. The other sand shinobi turned around in unison, ready to leave this stinking place. Just then, Chiba on the ground stood up and glanced at the sand shinobi on the tree trunk. The corner of his mouth drew an arc, and if you look carefully, it is not difficult to find that there are some yellowish residues on the corner of Chiba's mouth at this time. Want to kill me? Then accept King Ben's wrath? Ah, no. Then accept the shit king. Not enough hockey either. Emperor Konoha shit. Yes. Then accept the anger of Emperor Konoha Shiwang. After drinking heavily, Chiba directly activated the ability, 5-grain reincarnation. Next moment. Gululu. Oh shit. What's the matter, did you eat your stomach? I can't take it anymore, I want to have diarrhea. It's so strong, I can't hold back. In an instant, several sand shinobi felt a strong desire to defecate, and they couldn't help but clutch their stomachs and clamp their chrysanthemums tightly. This feeling caught several sand shinobi off guard. No, I feel like my intestines are moving, and the shit is piling up, I'm going to die. What the hell is going on? It's him. It must be him. He just yelled shit king, and after he yelled, I wanted to shit. Can he control his bowel movements? Following the low-pitched exchanges of several sand shinobi, they quickly determined one thing, that is, all of this is inseparable from the young man on the ground who ate Ori. Quick. Kill him quickly. As long as you kill him, the problem will be solved. A sand shinobi roared in a low voice, which made the eyes of the others light up. They believed that as long as the young man was dealt with, the feeling of defecation would subside. Naive. Do you think you can hold back? Chiba sneered. As the saying goes, you can travel thousands of miles by holding back your urine, but it is difficult to walk an inch when you urinate. Open. A calm voice sounded, and Chiba snapped his fingers directly. Boom. 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 A series of crisp sounds resounded from several sand shinobi, like the sound of a bottle being opened. Puff. 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 Immediately afterwards, there was a continuous scurrying sound, accompanied by waves of unpleasant stench. Undoubtedly, these people all pulled their pants pockets. Ah. I pulled. Why are mine so thin? My pants. It feels so refreshing, my constipation is gone. Huh. Several sand shinobi looked at the companion who said shushuang in unison, all of them looked unhappy. All of them had their trouser pockets soaked, but only the constipated companion couldn't see any trace of wet trousers at all due to his dry stool. He just stretched his pants up a lot. What kind of expressions are you guys showing? Radu has pulled out. Why don't you hurry up and get rid of him? The sand shinobi shook his head, and quickly took out kunai from the ninja bag. Yes. It's all like this, can we still push it back? Yeah. I'm gonna poke 100 holes in this zabi and pour shit in there. Several other people also took out their kunai, ready to poke that nasty guy into a hornet's nest. It seems that I have been underestimated. The dung fist is condensed. With a sneer, Chiba shouted loudly, stretched out his palm and shook it against the void. In an instant, the feces in the pockets of the 5 sand shinobi's trousers came out one after another, condensing into fists the size of 5 sandbags. Among them, one fist was obviously bigger than the others for several laps, which was contributed by the constipated sand shinobi. This. What kind of ability is this? Instantly control feces to form fists. This kind of condensation speed is too fast. I didn't react at all. Several sand shinobi were shocked. Too fast. It is too fast. The few of them didn't react at all. The feces in the trouser pockets tore apart the pants, condensed into fists, and floated in front of them. The few people had every reason to believe that before they could throw out the kunai, these few fists condensed from feces would be able to smear their faces. Most importantly, they don't know the power of these fists. Soon. They know. Eat lousy with a punch. Chiba's fist punched the void. Instantly. 5 fists to the faces of 5 sand shinobi. Boom. 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 The huge impact hit the 5 people's faces, knocking them into the air. Even Chiba heard several bones shattering. At this time, the bodies of the 5 sand shinobi were like 5 rotating dolls. They spun more than a dozen times in the air before they landed one after another, and fell to the ground with Baji and Baji. Taking a closer look at the dead bodies of sand shinobi, Chiba felt a chill. It's so F***king miserable, the feces are all blasted into the mouth. I have to leave quickly, the supply station is destroyed, I have to bring the news back to the village. Having made up his mind, Chiba raised his leg and turned around. Suddenly, he seemed to think of something. Almost forgot, these feces can't be wasted. His system also features a septic tank that collects feces. However, he read it in a hurry before, and didn't look at the specific storage method in detail. When he scanned the introduction to the column of septic tanks, Chiba's face immediately turned green. Septic tank. Infinite space, dedicated to storing feces. Gather the feces within a radius of 100 meters through the mind, and store them through the mouth. Deposit by mouth? Is this the mouth that I understand? Isn't this going to make me eat shit? The expression on his face kept changing. Finally. With Chiba's thought, the feces from the 5 corpses floated one after another, and then condensed into an extra-large spiral-shaped feces. This TM is too big, compress it for me. Thoughts spread, the original extra-large feces suddenly shrunk to the size of a walnut. Then, Chiba picked it up and threw it directly into his mouth. Grunt. In a hidden forest. 2 ninjas wearing sand shinobi forehead protectors guard their surroundings vigilantly. This is the meeting point for the sand shinobi sabotage team in the Fire Nation. According to the agreement, once a team successfully destroys the supply station, it will evacuate and gather here. The Sand Eagle team hasn't come back yet. Luo Sha frowned and asked the guard sand shinobi. No, hearing his subordinate's answer, Luo Sha had an ominous premonition. As the commander-in-chief of the team that infiltrated the Fire Nation, Luo Sha's task was to command 3 reinforced teams to destroy the 3 supply stations connecting Konoha village to the border front. A total of 5 such supply stations were set up in Konoha, but the last 2 were too close to the frontline troops of the Konoha shinobi, making it difficult to attack. So Luo Sha only needs to destroy 3 places near Konoha village. Since these 3 supply stations are quite far from the front line, Konoha did not send many defensive forces, which also hit Luo Sha's plan. Now, the other 2 teams have all returned, except for the Sand Eagle team, which has no news. Captain, the Sandhawk team is in charge of the supply station closest to Konoha village. Will they encounter Konoha's strong man? Strong? Impossible. Luo Sha shook his head, thinking that this situation would hardly happen. May I ask, which ninja village will send the strong to the supply station far away from the front line? After waiting for a while, Luo Sha finally decided to go and see for herself. A group of people set out on the road in secret, very fast. In front of the 5 stinking corpses, Luo Sha and his subordinates frowned and covered their mouths in silence. Buzz buzz. A large number of flies danced and circled happily on the corpses, and many flies crawled in and out of the mouths of the corpses. There were even flies gathered on the chrysanthemums of several corpses, as if they were having a party. Judging by the smell alone, Luo Sha can judge the stench of excrement from several corpses. But what puzzled him was that the smell was shit, but where did the shit go? He didn't believe that these flies were eating shit so fast, and he even suspected that these flies were also looking for shit. Captain. Vomit. Some subordinates couldn't take it anymore, they whispered and began to retch. In the end, Luo Sha sealed several corpses into the sealing scroll with doubts, and then left with his subordinates. Chiba felt that he was very hard, In order to obtain the fat job of transportation supplies, he bribed Chuan Dao, who was in charge of transportation in the village, a lot of money, and spent a huge sum of money to buy a cow. As a result, the supply station exploded, and his vacancies were gone. The old cow rushed into the fire and turned into braised beef. What made him even more depressed was that he had walked more than half of the distance now and was hungry. Originally, he wanted to use the system's ability to catch a rabbit or a sparrow to eat, but on this road, let alone small animals, there was not even a bird chirping. He seriously doubted whether it was because he smelled too much, smoked these small animals away. Eat the leaves? Eat the bark? Shaking his head vigorously, Chiba felt that he could still persevere. Keep going. Gululu. His stomach is growling for the 5th time. Chiba just had a meal before departure in the morning, and it was almost dark now, so he didn't eat lunch. According to his past habits, he arrived at the supply station in the afternoon and just had lunch, and then drove the ox cart back to the village, and then he could have dinner. Now, the food he ate in the morning has long been digested by the stomach, and even the residue has become feces. Stool? His eyes lit up, and Chiba had a bold idea in his heart. Konoha village mouth. Relying on tenacious will, Chiba finally walked back before dark. I really am determined. Kudos to myself, Chiba strides. Only. As he approached the entrance of the village, an unpleasant stench wafted along with him. Before he approached, the 2 Konoha guards immediately took out kunai, and frowned at the visitor. Stop. Seeing the figure still approaching, Qing Tian immediately shouted loudly. After finishing speaking, Qing Tian and his companions held Ku Wuwei with one hand, and covered their mouths and noses with the other hand. They suspected that this unidentifiable person came to poison him, otherwise why did he smell so bad before he got close? Careful, it could be a poison ninja from Sand Shinobi. The companion's muffled reminder drew Qingtian's serious gaze. Are Sand Shinobi so bold now, single-handedly poisoning Konoha village, still not hiding their whereabouts? As soon as Qingtian thought of this, he found that figure beckoning to him. It's me, I'm Chiba. Waving his hands happily at Qingtian, Chiba showed excitement. His current appearance is indeed disheveled, because his face fell to the ground when the bullock cart lost control before. Chiba? Are you Chiba? Qingtian and his companions were puzzled and their eyes widened. As the figure got closer and closer, the 2 of them finally identified each other. Only, a disgusting breath rushed towards the face, and Qingtian and the 2 on the top stepped back several steps together. Wait a minute. Don't move. You. Don't come here again. While speaking, the 2 of Qingtian couldn't bear it any longer, and they all started to yew to the ground. It smells so damn bad. What is this smell? Chiba must have fallen into the cesspit. The 2 vomited profusely and burst into tears. In fact, this taste is not only strong and unpleasant, but also irritating to the eyes. Is it that bad smell? Seeing the reaction of the 2, Chiba breathed a sigh of relief and sniffed hard. It turned out he didn't smell anything. He didn't smell it, but as he breathed out, a more sour smell wafted out than before. It's like the smell of dead rats in the sewer mixed with feces, which has been fermented for a long time. The complexions of Qingtian and the 2 of them changed drastically, and their brains were stunned by the smell. You. Vomit. This taste is so sour. Chiba didn't fall into the cesspit, but ate shit. Eating shit is not as strong as his breath. Can't help it. The 2 couldn't bear it anymore. Involuntarily, Qingtian and his companions took off their clothes, used them as filters, and covered their mouths and noses. But it still doesn't seem to be able to stop the smell. Am I making you so sick? Chiba was unhappy and couldn't help complaining. He risked his life to transport supplies and was almost killed by Sand Shinobi, but now these 2 people hate him so much. By the way, the supply station. Suddenly, he thought about Sand Shinobi blowing up the supply station. The supply station has been blown up, report it quickly. After Chiba's words fell, the expressions of Qingtian and the 2 became serious. The supply depot was bombed, which is a big deal. You stay here on duty, I'll report. Whoosh. The companion directly dropped these words, and disappeared in an instant, leaving Qingtian with an ugly face behind. He also wanted to report, but was taken a step ahead by his companions. Gululu. Chiba's stomach started growling again. Is Chiba hungry? As a ninja, Qingtian's ears are extremely sensitive. Chiba, you are here to help keep watch, I'll buy you some ramen. After finishing speaking, Qingtian turned into a puff of smoke, leaving Chiba standing alone at the entrance of the village. Hey. I want more ramen. In the distance, Qingtian staggered when he heard the shout. Now he is not worried about the guarding at the entrance of the village, because Qingtian knows that as long as Chiba stands at the entrance of the village, the safety of the entrance of the village will be fine. Hokage building. Inside Hokage's office. A map was spread out on the table. Sarutobi Hiruzen in front of the table frowned. Shimura Danza stared at the map, silent. Sand Shinobi Chen Bing Frontier. This is extremely bad news for the current Konoha. Although the reason given by Sand Shinobi is to guard against Rain Shinobi village, anyone with a discerning eye knows that this is Sand Shinobi's excuse, and the purpose is to use this reason to continuously send more ninjas to the front line. According to the news from the border front, the number of additional ninjas sent by Sand Shinobi village has been increasing, and it is almost equal to the number of our border defense troops. Sarutobi Hiruzen broke the silence, frowning. As third Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen had received this kind of news a long time ago, so he ordered the construction of a supply station to prepare for the defense in the near future. Saying this now, I just want to hear Danzo's opinion. Third Kazekage has no small ambitions. Danzo spoke softly. Gone? Glancing at Danzo, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt a little tired. I thought Danzo could give some advice, but these words just popped out. Thump. 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 At this moment, hurried footsteps came from outside the office. From the sound of footsteps alone, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo knew something was wrong. As expected. Report to Lord Hokage, the first supply station has exploded. What? Fried. Sand Shinobi did it. Hearing this news, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo asked in surprise. They couldn't help but be shocked, because the supply station is related to the normal operation of the frontline troops on the border. Once the supply station is destroyed, the frontline troops will lose important supplies. This is the news brought back by Chiba, who transported supplies. He should know the specific details. Then what are you waiting for? Bring him here immediately. Slapping the table down, Sarutobi Hiruzen urged. However, the ninja's complexion was a bit tangled, as if he hesitated to speak. Huh? Why don't you hurry up? Danzo squinted his eyes slightly and scolded in a deep voice. Yes. Chiba at the entrance of the village waited and waited, and finally got the ramen. At the same time, another ninja also came back and motioned for Hokage to summon him. Suck. One mouthful of delicious ramen made Chiba feel alive again, and he walked towards the Hokage building while eating the ramen. Watching Chiba eating noodles, Qingtian and his companions felt a chill and their scalps were numb. If I'm not mistaken, there seems to be shit in the corner of his mouth. You read that right. It's a piece of shit, and it's all dry. They had never seen such a disgusting scene, and it blinded their titanium alloy dog eyes. Qingtian even speculated whether Chiba could come back alive because he was forced to eat shit by Sand Shinobi. On the street, with the appearance of Chiba, an unbearable stench wafted along, and the stench centered on Chiba and followed him all the way. With the appearance of Chiba, an unbearable stench wafted along, and the stench centered on Chiba and followed him all the way. What smell? Why is it so smelly? My God, is this someone shitting in the street? Why does it smell so strong? Ah. That stinks, you. At this moment, wherever Chiba passed by, passers-by cursed and covered their noses one by one, and some even vomited out of control. Soon, their eyes fell on Chiba. No need to think about it, this guy walking while eating noodles is the source of the stench. With such a big smell, you can still eat noodles as if they were real, especially this guy also makes the sound of suction, and suction. It seems that he enjoys eating. Sudden. Chiba stopped. He looked at several passers-by and smiled slightly. As a result, a piece of feces at the corner of the mouth loosened and fell off. Ah. Seeing this scene, the passers-by widened their eyes, shouted in horror, and fled in all directions. What are you running for? Am I really scaring you that much? Feeling a little dissatisfied, Chiba muttered and continued on the road. Now, the pedestrians along the way are fried. Wherever Chiba walked near the streets, there was a stench of excrement, which made passers-by run wildly. Boom. 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 This is the sound of a large number of residents closing their windows, and even many shops along the way are closed. I really don't know how to appreciate it. Without the taste on my body, how can I bring out the deliciousness of ramen? Chiba slurped the ramen with a sucking sound, and saw the Hokage building close at hand. Hokage office. Sitting behind the desk in front of the window, Sarutobi Hiruzen frowned suddenly. What is the taste? Then, he sniffed hard out of the window with his nose. Upon hearing this, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression changed. Vomit. A strong pungent smell entered his nostrils, making his stomach churn for a while. This is. Danzo also smelled it at this time, and a bold picture immediately came to mind. Bold. Who dare to shit next to the Hokage building? A Chiba strode into the Hokage building. At the same time, the strong smell of Ali on his body also entered the narrow corridor. Corridor duty room. Ninja Ichi, who was on duty, saw someone coming through the glass window, and was about to go to the entrance of the building to confirm the identity of the visitor, Buddha A. As soon as the door was pushed open, a disgusting smell rushed over. Vomit. Before he could say a word, he was so smoked that he fell to his knees on the ground and spit out. Stomach juice mixed with acid water kept gushing up his throat, and he couldn't stop it at all. Why are you kneeling? Does it matter? Seeing the appearance of the ninja on duty, Chiba kindly asked. It's okay if he didn't ask, but when he asked, Jing Yi on the ground trembled all over immediately, and then ran out of the building like crazy. After running out of the building, Jing Yi let out a long breath, only to find tragically that there was still a foul smell in the air outside. But in comparison, the air here is much better than in the building. Whoosh. Someone appeared in an instant and came out of the building in an instant. Jing Ding took a closer look and found that the other party was a ninja from the confidential room. Whoosh. 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 Another ninja appeared one after another, all staff members of the Hokage building. Within a few breaths, more than a dozen ninjas gathered outside, posing in various poses and throwing up. The scene was a bit grand. What was that thing that just went in? Finally, someone looked at Jing Yi and asked angrily. Following the ninja's inquiry, the others also looked over in unison, with unfriendly expressions on their faces. Everyone knows that Jing Yi is the ninja on duty at the entrance of the Hokage building, so it is natural to question him. Being stared at by so many people, Jing Yi's expression was also ugly. Who the hell did I provoke? The anger in his heart is hard to calm down, but facing so many ninjas, he can't help it. I just know it's a young man holding a bowl of ramen in his hand. Youth? Ramen? That should be someone from the village. Are you sure it's a person? Hokage office. Danzo was furious. Upon smelling the smell, Danzo was immediately sure it smelled like poop. Just imagine, since this smell can enter Hokage's office, it means that the source of feces is very close. Daring to defecate nearby is simply unforgivable. Thump. 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 Just when he was about to order a thorough investigation into the matter, hurried footsteps sounded in the corridor. Next moment, a ninja figure appeared in the office with an extremely awkward expression on his face. It's not good, he's here. Under the flustered tone, the ninja could hardly speak. Just finish this sentence. The strong ollie smell surged from the door and spread into the office. This is. This taste, vomit. Third Hokage and Danzo were both hit, their faces twisted, and they leaned on the table and vomited furiously at the floor. And the ninja who reported the letter just now had already turned into smoke, and he didn't know where he went. Is this poisonous gas? Lifting the Hokage robe and covering his mouth and nose, Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke dully. This smell is too strong. Not only is it disgusting, it even irritates the eyes. If it weren't for the fact that this was Hokage's office, he would have thought someone was gassing. It should be dung gas. Danzo didn't know where to take out a handkerchief to cover his nose, and spoke quietly. He once witnessed the ninja of the Aburame family perform a secret technique, and the condition required for that secret technique was a rotten breath. Somebody is coming. Suddenly, Sarutobi Hiruzen's expression changed. As Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen has extremely keen hearing. He heard the sound of footsteps in the corridor, walking towards here. Soon, Danzo heard it too. The two of them are worthy of their strength, and under such a pungent smell, they insisted on staying in the office and did not leave. Thump. Footsteps were approaching the door. Next moment, Chiba's figure appeared at the door of the office and walked in with strides. Seeing the disheveled young man in front of him, holding a bowl of ramen with the Ichiraku logo in his hand, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo suppressed the feeling of vomiting and looked over together. Who is this? Two big question marks rose from their minds. Master Hokage. I am Chiba. Chiba smiled shyly, revealing 2 rows of yellowish teeth. Slightly yellow teeth are nothing, but the problem is that when Chiba opened his mouth, the strong taste of ollie wafted out of his mouth. This is the original smell, which is several times stronger than what he exudes, and it is the essence. Here. The two people in front of them couldn't stand it anymore. Even if Sarutobi Hiruzen covered it with a Hokage robe, he still couldn't stop the smell. Danzo's handkerchief was useless. He lifted his robe and folded it several times, but found that it was useless. Whoosh. Whoosh. Ever since, the two chose to jump off the building one after another, and jumped from the window of the office. Chiba was dumbfounded. Looking at the window, he was quite speechless. Obviously Lord Hokage asked me to come, but I climbed the stairs for a long time, but Hokage jumped down? If I had known this, wouldn't I have just waited downstairs? After thinking about it for a while, Chiba walked to the window and looked at the height of the window from the ground. 10 meters. Really high. He reckoned that if he jumped down by himself, it would be easy to break his leg. He had no choice but to turn back and leave the office with strides. Outside the Hokage building, Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo, who landed first, glanced at the gathered staff, and then their eyes fell on the exit of the building. Master Hokage, we can't stand that smell. Someone opened his mouth to explain, his face full of embarrassment. The others were silent and trembling. Okay, no need to explain. Waving his hands, Sarutobi Hiruzen did not blame these subordinates. After all, even he and Danzo ran out. Who has the face to blame others? Sarutobi Hiruzen stares at the entrance of the Hokage building. Danzo is also staring at the entrance of the Hokage building. Even a dozen of his subordinates looked at the entrance one after another. Suddenly, there was that sickly familiar smell. Whoosh. 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 Almost at the same time, a dozen or so ninjas who were relatively close to the entrance cast the instant technique one by one, and all of them flashed behind third Hokage and Danzo. They were embarrassed, but embarrassment was better than arguing in person. Hokage and Danzo are the strongest. With these two in front, their pressure will be less after all. Snort. Seeing this scene, Danzo snorted coldly, turned his head and glanced at the crowd behind him. Danzo originally wanted these people to ask about Chiba, who was about to come out, but unexpectedly, each of these people was more shameless than the other. You all stand back, it's enough for me and Danzo here. At this time, third Hokage waved his hand, motioning for everyone to leave. Yes. Hearing Hokage's order, everyone responded in unison. Boom. 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 Almost in the blink of an eye, more than a dozen streams of smoke rose up. Almost in the blink of an eye, more than a dozen streams of smoke rose up. I don't know where these people retreated. The strong smell of Ali is getting bigger and bigger, and there are even footsteps coming from the entrance of the Hokage building. Just then, third Hokage lifted the Hokage robe again to cover his mouth and nose, and then turned around slowly. Seeing Hiruzen's action, Danzo suddenly realized. Then he turned around too. Thump, Chiba stepped out. Huh. As soon as he walked out of the Hokage building, he found that Hokage-sama and Danzo-sama seemed to be standing in the wrong direction. So, he planned to go around in front of the two of them. After all, if you just walk over like this, what if you scare them? And it's a bit disrespectful to the two adults. As a result, just halfway around, he found that the eyes of the two were fixed on him. From the eyes of the two, Chiba felt a lot of emotions, but he couldn't describe the specific emotions. Stop. Don't move anymore. Suddenly, Danzo and Hiruzen spoke, almost at the same time. After finishing speaking, the two hurriedly began to cover their mouths and noses with their respective clothes and handkerchiefs. Eh? Talking with your neck twisted? Isn't that bad? Chiba was a little confused. But soon, he found out that he was wrong. Chiba didn't move, but Danzo and Hokage did. The two turned around halfway, and turned their backs to Chiba again. Now Chiba is not calm. Master Hokage, Master Danzo, will you use your back to communicate with me? Chiba said this in a hurry, and the strong aligo was sprayed out by the smell, and it floated towards the backs of the two of them. Vomit. Woo. At this time, the bodies of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo began to shake violently. Danzo couldn't bear it anymore. He lifted the handkerchief and started to use. Sarutobi Hiruzen, with great effort, swallowed back the vomit welling up his throat. At this point, Sarutobi Hiruzen felt that he couldn't procrastinate any longer, and had to make a quick decision, otherwise even he couldn't stand it anymore. He took a deep breath, endured the discomfort in his stomach, and covered his mouth and nose with the Hokage robe again. Chiba, I order you to turn around now, immediately. With a stern tone in his tone, Hiruzen thought of this way. Hokage gave such an order, and Chiba had to listen. So he turned around obediently. Then there is the back-to-back communication. Chiba looked at the air in front of him, always feeling weird. Chiba, tell me what you saw at the supply station, remember, keep it brief and to the point. Sarutobi Hiruzen spoke quickly and seemed to be in a hurry. Oh. Responding to the air, Chiba straightened out his thoughts and began to organize his words. I drove the ox cart to the supply station. It was about a few hundred meters away from the supply station. I saw the supply station exploded. Then my cow went crazy, and I. Don't talk about cows. Third Hokage spoke in a muffled voice, unable to hear any emotion. After all, he covered his nose and mouth with the Hokage robe. Well, that cow cost me. I'll reimburse you. Stop talking about bullshit, and focus on it. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen was about to explode, but he couldn't. Because being angry will make him breathe faster, and breathing faster will make him come out. I fell out of the car and 5 sand shinobi found me. Chiba felt a little wronged, and talked about it pitifully. It's just that he said it to the air. Oh? Go on. Then what? Hearing this, not only Sarutobi Hiruzen became interested, but even Danzo stopped vomiting and urged in a muffled voice. The two of them guessed that some kind of accident must have happened during Chiba's encounter with the Sand Shinobi ninja, otherwise how could it have become the current state? Field. Chiba scratched his head and thought for a while, and felt that his ability could be classified as the blood succession limit. After all, he couldn't say that he ate Ali, that would be a shame. Then I awakened Shiden. Naming his ability Shiden, Chiba silently praised his wit in his heart. Should escape? That's how it is the blood inheritance limit? The two of Danzo suddenly realized that this ability seemed reasonable. According to this logic, the two of them even made up the plot behind it. In the face of 5 Sand Shinobi, Chiba awakened the blood successor Limita Shiden in a critical situation, and then, with a disgusting smell on his body, he directly smoked away Sand Shinobi. In the thinking of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo, the Sand Shinobi ninja who destroyed the supply station must not be too strong, because all the strong Sand Shinobi are closely monitored by the Konoha border forces at the border, and it is almost impossible to have a chance to sneak in. So far, the two have finished their brains. Okay, Chiba, you go home quickly. Turning his back and waving his right hand, Sarutobi Hiruzen urged in a muffled voice. It's just that he forgot that Chiba was also behind his back, so he couldn't see his waving movements at all. Of course, Chiba has ears, and he heard what Hokage said, but he didn't move his footsteps. Master Hokage. My cow. Chiba is still thinking about the reimbursement that Hokage just said. Danzo, give me the money. At the urging of Sarutobi Hiruzen, Danzo flicked a few coins. The coin drew a circular arc in midair and landed in Chiba's hands with precision. That's okay too? Chiba was a little confused. Everyone is clearly back to back. How did the other party throw the money into his hands? It's kind of magical. Looking at the money in his hand, Chiba counted it and found that it was just enough to buy a cow. He thought that Danzo would give him more money because he didn't know the price, but Chiba realized that he was thinking too much. Chiba, you must be very tired all the way, go home and rest. At this time, Sarutobi Hiruzen began to urge in a muffled voice. By the way, if it's okay, try not to go out. After adding this sentence, Sarutobi Hiruzen's figure, bang, turned into smoke, and then Danzo disappeared. The residents of the Sarutobi clan. The figures of Sarutobi Hiruzen and Danzo appeared one after another, and they began to take a big breath of fresh air. Call. Call. As if they had been rehearsed, the chests of the two of them heaved and sunken, and after several waves of breathing, they felt alive again. They really don't want to stay in the Hokage building anymore. The smell of Chiba is everywhere, which makes people's scalp tingle. Although Chiba's smell is a bit strong, I think this ability can be used to resist Sand Shinobi. Danzo opened his mouth and thought of a way to get Chiba away. He knew very well that it was impossible for Chiba not to go out, and he would definitely go to the street to buy food, but such a humanoid person walking through the cesspit to the street would definitely make the whole village full of complaints. Let me ask, if someone is eating ramen, and the smell of Ali hits his face, how does it feel to eat ramen? Someone is eating barbecue, and they can smell shit when they eat it. This barbecue eater might think that he is eating grilled Ali. Even if Chiba chooses to go out for a walk during the meal, I am afraid that the whole village will go crazy by then. Danzo felt a chill at the thought. So, make sure to get Chiba out of the village. Only, Sarutobi Hiruzen in front of him shook his head. Chiba's ability is disgusting, but he must not go to the front line. Hiruzen's tone paused after saying the exact opposite of what Danzo said. If he goes to the front line, with his smell, without Sand Shinobi attacking, our Konoha frontline troops will collapse. Danzo was stunned by what Hiruzen said. As Sarutobi Hiruzen said, the smell on Chiba's body is too strong, and this smell will spread, especially when Chiba speaks, the concentration of this smell will be greatly increased. If he was placed in the frontline army, the combat effectiveness of the entire ninja army would drop a lot. Since you can't put him in our ninja army, let's put him in Sand Shinobi. After figuring out the key point, Danzo corrected himself. It's just that Sarutobi Hiruzen rolled his eyes. Put it over there at Sand Shinobi. How? With a hint of dissatisfaction in his tone, Hiruzen sighed leisurely. As Hokage, Sarutobi Hiruzen is not an idiot, he will naturally consider Chiba's role on the battlefield. After some analysis, he gave up. First, the smell on Chiba's body will cause him to be discovered by Sand Shinobi in advance, and then, Sand Shinobi only needs to throw a kunai, and Chiba will be gone. So it's useless to put him on the battlefield. Forget about Chiba for now. Waving his hand, Sarutobi Hiruzen changed the subject. He will have to eat later, and he doesn't want to affect his appetite. Next, the two talked about the bombing of the supply station. How stingy. Not only did I lose the cattle, but my cart has not yet been reimbursed. Do you want to go back and find them? On the way home, Chiba thought about it, and even wanted to go back to Danzo to reimburse the car money. It's just that he doesn't know where to find Danzo. Hokage building? Root base? Or the residence of the Shimura clan? Forget it, it's too troublesome. Stuffing the money into his trouser pocket, he quickened his pace a little. Now that the sky is about to get dark, Chiba is a little scared. His residence is located near a garbage dump. At night, there are often some stray dogs digging food on the garbage dump, and even fighting for food, so Chiba seldom goes out at night. He was afraid of being used as food by stray dogs. Finally, he saw the garbage dump, and there were no stray dogs near the garbage dump. With a sigh of relief, Chiba walked over to the side of the garbage dump. He didn't notice that a blowfly flew over from the garbage dump and circled around his head. Even if it is found, Chiba will not care. After all, it is normal for flies to appear in the garbage dump. But what he didn't know was that as the soybean-sized flies circled above his head, blowflies began to appear near the garbage dump and flew towards his head. When he was about 10 meters away from his residence, Chiba finally realized something was wrong. It was the sound of a fly flapping its wings, and there was more than one. Looking up following the sound, Chiba was dumbfounded. I saw dozens of blowflies flying and circling above his head, drawing circles one after another. What made him even more confused was that the shape of the circle was still very familiar to him, and it was obviously the shape given by Ali. What the F***K is going on? Seeing this scene, Chiba cursed. He has no grievances with these flies, but these flies make such a shape above his head. Isn't this bullying? As Chiba exhaled the fragrance, the swarm of flies hovering above his head immediately exploded. As if stimulated by something, the wings of the fly swarm flapped faster, as if a turbine engine was installed, and the sound suddenly increased several times. Surrounded by a strong, buzzing sound, Chiba wanted to cry but had no tears. He even saw more flies flying over his head and joined the swarm of flies. You guys are ruthless. With a sharp gesture of the middle finger, Chiba ran away. Boom. Kicking open the door, he ran straight to his room. Buzz. Behind him, the swarm of flies followed closely in the shape given by Ali. Chiba is running wildly. Behind him, a group of flies in the shape given by Ali kept buzzing and followed closely. Laozi will enter the house soon. Let's see how you chase after him. Seeing the room close in front of him, Chiba was overjoyed. After 2 breaths. Kick the door, enter the house, close the door. The action is done in one go, which is perfect. With his back against the door, Chiba smiled triumphantly. But the next moment, he heard a familiar voice coming from under his feet. Looking down, Chiba was dumbfounded. I saw a large number of blowflies gushing out from the crack of the door under my feet, and they were flying towards the house. I was careless. I forgot there was a gap under the door. Annoyed, he simply opened the door directly. Laozi doesn't believe it. I can't handle a group of flies with my cleverness. Enduring the incessant noise of a swarm of flies, he scanned the room with his eyes. Afterwards, Chiba opened the old wardrobe and took out a pair of old cotton trousers with several holes. Folding the 2 trouser legs of the torn cotton trousers together, his eyes fell on the gap under the door. Next, tremble, little flies. With pride in his heart, Chiba strode out of the room. At the same time, the swarm of flies also buzzed, and all flew to the yard. Bend down. Lift your legs, start, run. At this time, Chiba's speed was a little faster than before, and he rushed into the room almost in one breath. Bang. After closing the door forcefully, Chiba quickly bent over and blocked the torn cotton trousers in the gap below. In order to be safe, he simply moved the 3-legged table picked up from the garbage dump, and stood it upside down on the ragged cotton trousers. It's done. Call it a day. Clapping his hands, Chiba was quite satisfied. In ancient times, there was Zhao Zilong who entered and exited 7 times in Cao's army, but now I have Chiba's torn cotton pants to keep out thousands of flies. Can't help but praise himself. Chiba shook his head. But the next moment, he was stunned. At this time, Chiba's eyes fell on the pasted paper on the window, and saw a big hole in the pasted paper. Hum. The familiar voice sounded again, and the black swarm of flies kept flying in, happily surrounding Chiba, as if they had found their biological mother. Thump. Bang. Creak. Running into the yard in a panic, Chiba was about to be driven crazy by these flies. Under the bright moonlight, the loveless Chiba sat on the ground and sighed. And above his head, a swarm of flies buzzed, non-stop, posing in poses, as if to comfort him. Suddenly, Chiba stood up with a gleam in his eyes. I'm so stupid, why did I forget that I still have the ability of the system? He had been chased by a swarm of flies before, and he didn't think of it at all, but now, he remembered it. Looking up and sweeping across the swarm of hateful flies, a cruel smile crossed the corner of Chiba's mouth. Tremble, little flies. Snapped. Snapping his fingers towards the void, Chiba directly activated the skill. Reincarnation of grains. In an instant, the swarm of flies above the head dropped a piece of black feces. More than half of these feces fell on Chiba's head, but he didn't care. After all, these small feces could be removed with a single thought for him. Chiba is looking forward to it. He waited to admire the scene of the colony landing. Wait. Waiting and waiting, Chiba's originally expectant expression turned into a liver color. The swarm of flies above the head didn't seem to be affected in the slightest. They were still buzzing, circling and flying, and they didn't even change the shape given by Ali. Seeing this scene, Chiba's brain went blank. It shouldn't be. How could this be? Desperate, he couldn't figure out why it happened like this. Even a ninja couldn't block this move. How did the fly block it? After thinking about it for a long time, Chiba just didn't think about it. Next, he lit a fire directly in the yard, trying to use it to drive away the flies. Unsurprisingly, it failed again. In front of the fire, Chiba was silent, but behind him, a loud hum was heard, disturbing him. He wielded a flaming stick in an attempt to burn the flies to death. But Chiba found out tragically that the swarm of flies can always be avoided first, not only maintaining the shape given by Ali neatly, but also at an extremely fast speed. Chiba was about to cry. After tossing and tossing for most of the night, he is now tired and sleepy, but he is always suffering from the loud noise of the flies, and he wants to sleep but cannot fall asleep. Big brother, please spare me, let me sleep tonight. Okay, let's play together during the day. Looking at the swarm of flies with a sad tone, Chiba began to read. He was really tossed and couldn't help it. In the previous life, a bottle of insect repellent would have been able to handle this, but in the ninja world, Chiba had no way of doing it. In the field, as Chiba's almost begging words sounded, a miraculous scene appeared. I saw a swarm of flies flying towards Chiba, and the shape given by Ali was gradually disappearing, as if he was assembling a new shape. Soon, a character slowly took shape. When Chiba saw the word, good, formed by the swarm of flies, his whole body went numb. Afterwards, the font collapsed, and the swarm of flies flew out of the yard. Chiba is in a daze. He didn't know how to describe the strange swarm of flies. A swarm of flies that can understand talking? A swarm of flies that eat soft but not hard. In short, it was the first time he had seen such a strange thing. Forget about it. Go to sleep. With the ears not disturbed by the noise, Chiba's mood suddenly improved and he was ready to sleep. That night, Chiba slept extremely soundly. It was almost noon the next day. Gululu. Chiba woke up hungry as his stomach protested unsatisfactorily. What he ate last night was ramen. This kind of food digested too quickly, and it didn't satisfy hunger at all. Pushing open the door, he planned to go to the street to buy some food. Thump. As soon as he walked out of the house, a ninja with a cat face mask appeared on the fence at the gate of the yard, which shocked Chiba. Stop. The cat face masked ninja spoke coldly, and then sized him up. Chiba, I am in charge of your daily diet under the order of Master Danzo. You just stay at home and tell me what you want to eat. The ninja with the cat face mask said coldly. His code name is Moonsword, Genbu Ninja. His main task this time is to monitor Chiba's whereabouts, prevent him from going out, and deliver food to him by the way. Real? Regarding Yudeo's words, Chiba was not only not angry, but was very happy in his heart. Don't need to go out? Lying dead at home? Do you still care about the food? Where can I find such a good thing? So, Chiba ordered a ramen, a barbecue, a meatball, and an ice cream by the way. The first 3 servings are the staple food, and the last ice cream is because Chiba feels that the weather has started to get hot recently, and he needs to eat ice cream to cool off the heat. However, after he ordered these, Yudeo's body trembled a little, and he didn't leave. Huh? Why don't you go? I have no money. Spreading his hands, Chiba looked indifferent. He is not worried that the other party will not buy it, because if the other party does not go, Chiba can only go in person. At that time, I will not be responsible for any consequences. A deserted street corner. The figure of Yudao appeared at the corner, and hurriedly took off the mask. Vomit. As soon as he took off his mask, Yudao leaned against the corner of the wall and you up, vomiting like hell. After throwing up for a while before he recovered, his eyes fell on the mask. At this look, his face turned green. I saw that the cotton lining on the mask had the same color as Ollie's at this time, and the smell of Ollie was wafting out. I made this with 10 layers of cotton cloth mixed with ground charcoal, but I only talked to that Chiba once. Muttering to himself, he looked at the color of the cotton cloth, and his stomach churned again. As a root ninja, what scene has Yudao not seen? Even if the shredded limbs and arms of a ninja flew across in front of him, he didn't even blink. But facing the cotton cloth of the same color as Ollie, he broke his defense. This is his special anti-Chiba cotton cloth for covering his mouth, in order to prevent Chiba feces. Now the cotton cloth has changed color, that is to say, his mouth has been in close contact with Ollie just now. No, this task is too difficult. With a strong intention of retreating in his heart, Yudao decided to go to Danzo-sama after delivering Chiba's meal. He wants to apply to go to the front line of the border. I'd rather die on the front line than eat dung every day. After making up his mind, Yudao tore off the cotton cloth and put on the mask again. Root base. Danzo is very busy today. Just now, the frontline troops sent news back to the village through Ninja, and reported the news that the number 2 supply station and the number 3 supply station were destroyed. In doing so, 3 of the 5 supply depots established in Konoha village were destroyed. The reconstruction, garrison, and transportation of the supply station all require his assistance. Whoosh. Suddenly, the figure of Yudao appeared in an instant and came to Danzo. Huh. Moon knife. Why are you back? Scanning under his eyes, Danzo frowned slightly. He clearly remembered that he asked the other party to monitor Chiba this morning. Why did he come back before noon? Master Danzo, I am applying to go to the front. As for the person to monitor Chiba, please choose someone else. Yudao's tone was very firm. Seeing his subordinate's statement like this, Danzo knew without thinking that the other party must have suffered something unspeakable at Chiba. However, he clearly remembered that Yudao was good at making various antivirus props, and he was the best person to monitor Chiba. Why is it less than half a day? After thinking for a while, Danzo spoke. You didn't wear your antivirus equipment? I wear it, and it's a high-level antivirus item. Not guarded? Danzo asked, somewhat incredulous. No. Shaking his head, Yudao answered truthfully. After finishing speaking, a plastic bag appeared in his hand, which contained yellow cotton cloth. At the same time, he also expressed his judgment on Chiba dung. Chiba's dung gas is not ordinary dung gas. He is surrounded by gas with a lot of tiny feces all the time. As long as he inhales this gas, it is actually equivalent to eating his. Okay. Stop talking. Before Yudao could finish speaking, Danzo shouted angrily to stop it. Of course he understood what the other party meant, but he didn't want to listen anymore. After dismissing Yudao away, Danzo frowned and thought. He must not let Chiba wander freely in the village, or there will be a big mess. The best way is to continue to let him deliver supplies after the supply station is built. Danzo's eyes lit up and he thought of this way. Not only that, he also thought that since Chiba was asked to deliver supplies, it would be reasonable to build a house for him outside the village entrance, right? After all, Chiba was tired all the way, and he could have a place to sleep when he returned to the entrance of the village. The more he thinks about it, the more feasible Danzo thinks this method is. Thump. Just then, a girl appeared and handed over a list. Master Danzo, this is the call list. A crisp and pleasant voice rang out, pulling Danzo from his thoughts to reality. After receiving the list, Danzo glanced at the girl in front of him and was taken aback. The girl didn't wear a mask, and the word internship was printed on her clothes. Practice sign? This family crest. Are you from the Aburame family? Danzo's mind suddenly flashed a light. Aburame clan. He clearly remembered that the method used by this family to cultivate insects was to use the air of decay. In this case, doesn't it mean that this family is immune to Chiba's feces? Thinking of this, Danzo smiled. Master Danzo? Aburame Jingmei looked at each other cautiously, with fear in her heart. Not bad. You were very good. Looking at the girl in front of him, Danzo nodded frequently. Slim, with exquisite features and weak personality. The twin ponytails hang down to the shoulders, delicate and capable. From now on, I will give you a mission. My lord, please give me instructions. Your main task now is to monitor Chiba. Prevent him from leaving the yard. Chiba is in a good mood today. Not only was the meal plentiful, but even swarms of flies did not appear. It seems that I don't know where I flew to. This is really great. Originally, he was worried that he would have to fight the swarm of flies again during the day, but to Chiba's surprise, the swarm of flies didn't appear today. This made him almost jump up excitedly. Strolling around in the yard, Chiba squinted and lay on the homemade recliner, posing in a comfortable position, lazily basking in the sun. System. With a thought, a nearly transparent panel emerged. Host. Chiba, fruit. Dung fruit, a fruit condensed from the essence of countless kinds of dung. Fruit introduction. Can control and manipulate all biological feces and excrement. Fruit initial ability. Reincarnation of 5 grains, control feces in all organisms. Imitation ability. None, chakra is required to activate. Elementary dung fist. Manipulate feces to condense into fists to attack the enemy, up to 10 dung fists can be condensed at the same time. Septic tank, infinite space, dedicated to storing feces, gather the feces within a radius of 100 meters through the mind, and store them through the mouth. Dung point. 1 ton of dung equals 1 dung point, 0.01. Usable chakra amount. 0/0. Scanning the panel carefully, this is the first time Chiba has seen such details. Since he encountered Sand Shinobi yesterday, he hasn't had time to study the system carefully. Now, he can finally study slowly. After reading it back and forth several times, Chiba thought about it. I already know the fruit's ability, but this imitation ability needs to be activated by chakra. He remembered that he had been reminded at the beginning of the system that he could imitate the attribute ninjutsu of any ninja, and the condition for imitation was chakra. My current active chakra is 0, so the solution should be on the shit point. Eyes fell on the 0.01 feces point, and Chiba thought of the 5 algae contributed by Sand Shinobi. 1 ton of feces equals 1 feces point, that is to say, the 5 people pulled out 20 caddies, 1 person 4 caddies? Chiba was taken aback by the amount. Is this too capable? But then he thought about the constipated Sand Shinobi ninja. Others may only weigh 2 or 3 caddies, mainly because the one who is constipated. Shaking his head, Chiba felt that his thinking was too crooked. He was originally studying system capabilities, but after thinking about it, why did he think about constipation? If you want to further develop the capabilities of the system, it seems to start with collecting feces. Chiba guessed that the dung points are very useful, and the reason why the effect of the dung points is not reflected now is that he collected too little. Suddenly, a black bug flew in front of Chiba. Originally, it was just an inconspicuous black bug, but because it was too close to Chiba's face, he noticed it right away. F*K. Seeing the bug, Chiba jumped up instinctively, and saw Yazi ran towards the house. He has a shadow, and he has to go back to the house and cover himself with a quilt. I hope it's just one, but don't attract a crowd. At the same time, not far from the Chiba courtyard, Aburame Jingmei is walking towards the courtyard. Huh? Where's my guide worm? With a light snort, Aburame Jingmei looked puzzled. She originally released a guide bug that detects the smell. The purpose is to rely on the guidance of the bug to find Chiba's yard. After all, she had read Chiba's information before coming here, and knew that he had an unbearable smell on him. But what puzzled her was that the guide worm flew and plunged into the front yard, cutting off the connection with herself. Such an anomaly never happened. It seems that the yard in front is Chiba's home. The pace quickened a little. Aburame Jingmei wanted to see what happened. Only, as she got closer to the yard, Aburame Jingmei was surprised to find that the bugs in her body became restless. Quiet. I gave instructions to the bugs in my body, but it turned out that it was useless. At this moment, the worms in her body began to defy the order and flew out of her body. What happened? Watching the worm burst out with a dazed expression, Aburame Jingmei was about to cry. It's not easy for her to cultivate these bugs. Why don't they all obey orders now? The black bugs kept coming out of her body, flew into the air, and then all plunged into the yard. Thump. 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 Running quickly to the gate of the yard, Jingmei saw her bugs flying into the house. She didn't care about anything else, and followed the bug into the room. Now, Jingmei saw a strange scene. All I saw was that the swarm of bugs had all landed on the quilt on the bed and were constantly gnawing on the quilt. In a few breaths, the quilt was gnawed away, revealing a frightened young man. Go away. Don't come over. Chiba shouted at the top of his lungs, almost hoarse. As a result, these bugs crawled on him one by one, and Chiba jumped up from the bed in fright. Spin, jump, and keep your eyes closed. It worked. Feeling the bugs crawling on him disappear, Chiba opened his eyes. He first looked at himself, and found that the bug had really disappeared, and then he breathed a sigh of relief. Then, he saw the girl with exaggerated expression standing at the door. At this time, Aburame Jingmei was stunned, her mouth opened into an O shape, and she froze in place. What did she see? All the worms he cultivated went into the opponent's body. What makes Jingmei even more incomprehensible is that without the secret technique of the Aburame family, How could the other party be like a normal person? This unscientific. Not only was she stunned, but Chiba also found it incredible at this time. Next moment, Chiba jumped directly in front of the girl with an excited face. Aren't you afraid of the smell on me? Ah? Facing Chiba's inquiry, Shizumi came back to her senses. Smell? Sniffing her nose, Jingmei shook her head. The sense of smell of the Aburame clan has been lost since the moment they cultivated the worms. This is her family's secret. Only bugs are the only support of her family. But now, Jingmei's bugs are gone, and they all ran into Chiba's body. Chiba was so excited. He finally met someone who didn't care about his taste. I thought I would be lonely for a lifetime, but now it is bright. Give me back my worm first. Aburame Jingmei spoke aggrievedly, her face full of resentment. Your bug? Didn't the bug fly away? Chiba froze, quite puzzled. How can there be bugs on him? What do you pay for? Your body. What? Startled by the girl's words, Chiba took 2 steps back. With a face full of disbelief, he looked up and down the girl's appearance. His facial features are okay, his figure is okay, his demeanor is pretty and pitiful, and he's okay too. Especially those ponytails are even more exciting. Feeling relieved, Chiba felt that he should make an exception to accept the other party today. However, he had to wash himself well first. Thinking of this, Chiba's face became a little shy. I'll take a shower first. After speaking, Chiba ran towards the outside of the house. Bath? Jingmei was a little confused and couldn't understand. Could it be possible for him to take a bath to wash out the bugs in his body? As soon as this doubt arose, Jingmei felt a little sticky on her mouth. Not only is the mouth sticky, but even the nose seems to be covered with a sticky substance. Involuntarily, she wiped it with her hands. Looking at the viscous substance on her hand that was exactly the same as that of Ali, Jingmei's eyes widened. Then she wiped the underside of her nose again. Exactly the same. Ah! The girl yelled in horror and ran out like crazy. Chiba in the yard just brought up a bucket of water from the well, and before he could take a bath, he saw the girl run away. Why? Seeing the girl run away, Chiba was stunned, and the bucket he just brought up in his hand fell to the ground with a bang. Die before leaving the teacher. A cavity of blood turned into dust. Why? After staring at the gate of the courtyard for a long time, Chiba came back to his senses, sighed, and looked lonely. Forget it. I am the majestic ninja world emperor. Women will only affect me, so let's find a way to become stronger. After tidying up his mood, he once again had high fighting spirit. To become stronger, it is necessary to collect feces. My biggest obstacle now is how to cover up my own smell. After thinking about it, Chiba paced slowly in the yard. As long as he covers his own smell, he can sneak out at night and collect feces. As for why it is night? Because Chiba was afraid of being beaten during the day. During the day, the streets were full of people. Even if he was lucky enough not to be recognized, when he activated his ability to collect feces, he would be seen by others. Just imagine, he was quietly lingering outside the fence of someone else's house, and his ability was activated. As a result, a large amount of feces was lifted into the air. At that time, he was afraid that people would beat him to death. And the night would be so much better. Night is the best cover. I only need to walk around the street to collect Ali within a radius of 100 meters. Night is the best cover. I only need to walk around the street to collect Ali within a radius of 100 meters. The only question is, what can cover my smell? While thinking, he couldn't help walking to the gate of the courtyard. Not far in front of Chiba's yard was the pile of garbage, and his eyes fell on the garbage dump. Snapped. Suddenly, his eyes lit up, and he patted his forehead hard. My brain, such a simple method, why didn't I think of it? He stared straight at the garbage pile, with a large number of plastic bags rolling and floating on it. Plastic bags. That's what Chiba came up with. Plastic bags can even hold water, and they must also block the smell. Soon, Chiba's figure appeared on the rubbish pile, and after a short while, he ran home with a pile of rubbish in his arms. He didn't realize that inside the pile of garbage piled up like a mountain, there were densely packed fly eggs like the sand of the Ganges River, countless in number, and they were gestating. Among the massive fly eggs, hundreds of female flies are like hard-working gardeners, constantly producing fly eggs. Each time a female fly lays hundreds of eggs. It was getting dark. Chiba was very excited at this time. He found that it had been a whole day, and not only did the swarm of flies not come to him last night, but Danzo didn't send anyone again. What's more, his homemade shelter plastic bag suit is complete. The road to becoming stronger starts tonight. With pride in his heart, he clenched his fists. Night fell. Chiba put on his homemade plastic bag clothes, put on a mask cut out of ragged cotton pants, and tiptoed out the door. Now he is no longer worried about meeting stray dogs when he goes out at night. The big deal is the reincarnation of Grains and Manure Fist. He doesn't believe that stray dogs can stop them. Following the path to the street, Chiba found that there were still pedestrians on the street. Anyone else? Then I'll start with the residential area. Making up his mind, he walked directly across the street and wandered into the residential area. After choosing the best dark corner, Chiba had a thought. All of a sudden, within a radius of 100 meters around him, invisible fluctuations emanated. Next moment, a large amount of Iligo was sprayed out from the latrines of a dozen nearby residents and rose into the air. Cohesion. Seeing this scene, Chiba hurriedly collected the feces for fear of being discovered by others. This is thanks to the cover of the night. If it is broad daylight, I am afraid that there will be a large number of people watching. Mid-air, the excrement condensed and turned into a huge fecal ball with a diameter of about 10 meters, which made Chiba dumbfounded. The diameter is about 10 meters, which is the height of a 3-story building. It's just the feces of a dozen families. How could it be so big? Turning his mind slightly, he thought of the reason. The village has been established for decades, and it is reasonable for more than a dozen families to produce these algae in a few decades. Compression. Looking at the huge dung ball, Chiba whispered in his mouth. He must compress. Otherwise, he would have to eat these ollies for a year. Following Chiba's thoughts, the huge dung ball suddenly shrunk tenfold, becoming about 1 meter in diameter. Recompress. Under the thought, the dung ball became smaller again and turned into a dung bean. That's about it. Raising his hand to grab it, he grabbed the dung beans into his hand. Then, he threw it directly into his mouth. Grunt. After finishing the first area, Chiba left here in a hurry. After all, the dung ball was so big just now, there must be a smell in the air. If someone came to find it by following the smell, he might be exposed. My range is a radius of 100 meters, that is to say, the next area is 200 meters away. Walking around the corner, Chiba is measuring the distance of the range. After a while, he stopped. This is the second area where feces are collected. He didn't use his ability immediately, but crouched in the corner for a while. Nobody. Looking back and forth, Chiba was relieved. Soon, the huge ball of feces reappeared, and the breath disappeared, entering Chiba's mouth. He swore that he didn't eat Iligo. His mouth was just a channel through which the excrement was transported into the septic tank. The third place, the fourth place, the fifth place. Every time Chiba collects feces, he is careful and observes the situation before doing it. This is also the main reason why he has succeeded several times in a row. Gradually, a large area of residential areas in the village was patronized by Chiba. Mitokado Homura has been a little constipated these 2 days. Because he is in charge of managing the transportation and supply lines, and is also the senior management of the village, he is so busy every day that he gets dizzy. Irregular eating and long hours of busy work made him angry and difficult to defecate. And with the news that the supply station was bombed, his constipation got worse. Not long ago, after handing over some supply station reconstruction matters to Danzo, Mitokado Homura returned to the residence and began to squat in the hut and try hard to brew. This thing must brew emotions and maintain a fixed movement, otherwise, it will be very difficult. After squatting in the hut for a long time, Mitokado Homura finally looked happy and began to exert strength. When a person is straining to defecate, he hardly pays attention to the sound of the outside world. Precisely at this time, Chiba came to the corner outside the wall that was only separated from the hut. At this time, Mitokado Homura was working hard and didn't notice a person standing outside the wall. Chiba watched from the corner for a while, but also did not find any movement. Then, ability to activate, boom. Mitokado Homura was dumbfounded. He never imagined that the ollie in the pit would be blown up before he could get out. A large amount of ollie was sprayed out of the cesspit, directly flying Mitokado Homura, who was in a squatting position. F*K. What the hell? These are 2 different voices, one is a figure in midair and the other is Chiba in the corner. Being pushed into the air, Mitokado Homura remained in the same posture. It's not that he can't change, but he doesn't dare to change. Ollie is all over his body, how dare Mitokado Homura move? And at the corner, Chiba saw the human-shaped feces being pushed into the air, and was so frightened that he had a quick thought. In the next moment, except for the human-shaped feces, which remained unchanged, the other feces were all condensed together. Compress. Recompress. Constantly urging in his heart, Chiba was a little anxious. Boom. The human-shaped feces fell to the ground, and the poop ideas splashed all over the floor. At the same time, Chiba outside the wall grabbed the dung beans and ran all the way, not daring to look back. In the courtyard near the garbage dump. As soon as he ran back to the yard, Chiba locked the fence at the gate of the yard by the way. After returning to the house, he took off his mask and let out a long breath. I don't know what happened to that person just now. What if he falls to his death? I really didn't mean to. Thinking of the scene just now, Chiba was very annoyed. He really didn't expect that something would happen to him despite being so careful. That person was thrown about 3 meters high. If his butt landed on the ground, he wouldn't be able to die, right? Thinking back to the posture of the figure in midair just now, Chiba muttered to himself. According to his guess, if a person jumps from a height of more than 3 meters, there is a high probability that he will not die, and the figure who was sprayed all over his body just now maintained a posture of defecating. The man landed on his butt, and it was covered with a thick layer of ollie. It should be fine. Ultimately, Chiba made this judgment. Pack up your mood. He opened the properties panel with great anticipation. Host. Chiba, fruit. Dung fruit, a fruit condensed from the essence of countless kinds of dung. Fruit introduction. Can control and manipulate all biological feces and excrement. Fruit initial ability, upgradable, reincarnation of 5 grains, control feces in all living organisms. Imitation ability. None, chakra is required to activate. Elementary dung fist, upgradable, manipulate feces to condense into fists to attack the enemy, up to 10 dung fists can be condensed at the same time. Septic tank, infinite space, dedicated to storing feces, gather the feces within a radius of 100 meters through the mind, and store them through the mouth. Dung point, 1 ton of dung equals 1 dung point, 92.55. Usable chakra amount, upgradable, 0/0, get rich. Seeing that the dung points soared to more than 90, Chiba was so excited that he almost jumped up. Then, he found that there were 3 more, upgradable, prompts on the panel. Undoubtedly, this means that these 3 abilities can break through. The first one is the initial ability upgrade of the fruit. It should be that the ability of the reincarnation of the 5 grains is stronger after the upgrade. Chiba made a judgment in his mind. Wugu reincarnation is the ability to control the crowds around. Chiba didn't click on the upgrade immediately, but looked at the second upgradable ability. Elementary dung fist, if you upgrade it, it should be an intermediate dung fist, with more fists? Muttering to himself, his eyes fell on the last upgradable chakra quantity. Upgrade chakra first. Thinking of this, Chiba directly chose to upgrade chakra. His finger pointed to the illusory screen, his face full of anticipation. Next moment. The original 92.55 poop point is a little less and becomes 91.55. Amount of available chakra can be upgraded, 10 out of 10. Seeing this, Chiba looked up. Imitation ability. E. This level of ninjutsu for all ninjas. Imitation ability. E. This level of ninjutsu for all ninjas. This ability. Seeing the introduction of imitation ability, Chiba knew that he was about to go to heaven. Of course, his heaven is not like that person just now, but a metaphor. It means that I will be developed, awesome, and invincible. After reading the introduction, Chiba couldn't help but want to test this imitation ability. After all, with such an invincible ability, he has to test it himself. Coming to the middle of the yard, Chiba fell into deep thought. Ninjas of the entire ninja world. All E-rank ninjutsu. Think and think, think and think. After thinking for a while, Chiba found out tragically that there are only 3 or 4 E-level ninjutsu in the entire ninja world. So what's the use of him thinking so long? Total waste of time. The most basic E-level ninjutsu is 3 body technique. Double, transformation and clone. Which one to test first? Mumbling to himself, he decided to start with transformation technique. Standing still, Chiba activated the imitation ability. The mind was connected to the screen of Sarutobi Hiruzen casting transformation technique, the next moment Boom. Smoke rises. It's just that this smoke seems to be a little different from other ninjas' smoke. Others used the transformation technique to raise white smoke, but Chiba's smoke was colored by ollie. As the smoke slowly dissipated, a terrifying figure appeared. My day. Chiba, who was in place, looked at his current appearance, and couldn't help but swear. At this moment, Chiba turned into a woman. It's just that this woman's body is covered in oligo, and even dung soup keeps slipping off her body, falling to the ground with a ba and a ba. What kind of woman is this? It was clearly the female version of the zombie, who had just crawled out of the cesspit. It's so F***king disgusting. Boom. Even Chiba himself found it unacceptable, and directly lifted the transformation technique. So, what went wrong? He felt that there must be something wrong. Otherwise, how could the transformation technique be distorted like this? Third Hokage must have used this technique to transform into a woman. But this is the ninja world, and there are no zombies at all. In other words, it must be my problem. Chiba is thinking. Other people's transformation technique is used to deceive people, but Chiba's transformation technique is eye-catching. Once it is displayed, it is difficult for others not to notice it. So he must find out why. Recalling the scene when the system was first turned on, Chiba's face gradually revealed a look of amazement. I remember when the system was first turned on, it was prompted that any ninjutsu of all ninjas could be imitated, and then transformed into fecal jutsu. So the transformation technique just turned into the transformation technique? Thinking of this, Chiba decided to test it out. But this time he is not testing the transformation technique, but the clone technique. Boom. The smoke colored by Ali reappeared and slowly dissipated. Chiba looked to the right. In the end, it was really a dung body. Ali was covered all over his body, and the dung soup kept dripping on the ground. Because the avatar is not an entity, there is no feces on the ground, it is just an illusion. Unlocking the clone technique, Chiba understands what this mimicry ability does. He looked at the property panel again. Usable chakra amount, upgradable, 8/10. 2 points of chakra were consumed. He has just used E-level ninjutsu twice, that is to say, every time he uses E-level ninjutsu, he only needs to consume 1 chakra. Continue to upgrade. Having made up his mind, Chiba felt that Class E ninjutsu was really useless. Others' E-level ninjutsu can escape, but his E-level ninjutsu is courting death. Consuming manure points again, Chiba began to add upgrades to chakra. 1, 2, 3, 4. When the amount of chakra reaches 48/50, Chiba found that the ability to imitate has improved. Imitation ability. D. This level of ninjutsu for all ninjas. However, he glanced at the remaining 87 dung points and chose to continue upgrading. Consuming 5 feces points can imitate D-level ninjutsu, and he still has 87 feces points, full of confidence. 10 o'clock, 20 o'clock, 30 o'clock, 40 o'clock. When there were 42 points left after consuming the dung points in one breath, Chiba finally stopped. Host. Chiba, fruit. Dung fruit, a fruit condensed from the essence of countless kinds of dung. Fruit introduction. Can control and manipulate all biological feces and excrement. Fruit initial ability, upgradable, reincarnation of 5 grains, control feces in all living organisms. Imitation ability. A. This level of ninjutsu for all ninjas. Elementary dung fist, upgradable, manipulate feces to condense into fists to attack the enemy, up to 10 dung fists can be condensed at the same time. Septic tank, infinite space, dedicated to storing feces. Gather the feces within a radius of 100 meters through the mind, and store them through the mouth. Dung points. 1 ton of dung equals 1 dung point, 42.55. Usable chakra amount, upgradable, 498/500. Scanning the attribute panel, an emotion called invincible really rose in Chiba's heart. It is completely different from the previous mentality of imitating E-level ninjutsu. This time, he can imitate all A-level ninjutsu. He finally possessed the courage to sweep away all enemies in the world. Next, it's time to test your true strength. Next moment. Chiba's momentum changed. His expression was indifferent and haughty, like a peerless powerhouse who was born and looked down on all enemies in the world. Based on my current strength, isn't it just a mere ninjutsu? With his hands behind his back, Chiba looked up at the night sky and spoke lightly. It's a pity that he has no audience, so he can only pretend to be in the air. Bring it on. When the mind moves, the ability is activated. Fire style, a great fireball technique. In an instant, Chiba felt his throat swell, and a large amount of oli gushed out. In less than a breath, a huge dung ball with a diameter of about 5 meters appeared in front of his eyes. Gululu. As soon as it appeared, the dung ball rolled forward at an extremely fast speed. Boom. The wall of the yard was smashed into pieces in an instant, but this didn't seem to affect the speed of the huge dung ball. The huge dung ball that rushed out of the yard rolled, Gululu, and rushed towards the garbage dump. Seeing this scene, Chiba's face turned green. He can accept the collapse of the wall, but the dung ball directly crushed the entire wall into broken soil. How can he build it up? Stop. With a wave of his palm towards the void, the huge dung ball suddenly stopped. Chiba's ability is to control feces, so as long as it is feces, it is under his control. Forget it, the wall will collapse. Consoling himself, he accepted this fact. He is majestic and invincible in the ninja world, the emperor of shit. Why would he care about a mere wall? Since this dung ball is so big, just in time to try the Rasengan. Looking at the dung ball, Chiba activated the imitation ability again. Rasengan. The huge dung ball began to spin, and the speed was almost flying. Only. Along with the rotation of the dung ball, dense dung ideas like hail were thrown out. Before the words could be spoken, Chiba was smeared directly. Early the next morning. Inside the Hokage building office. Third Hokage is confirming the list with Danzo. That's all the people on the list. Once confirmed, they can leave at any time. This is Danzo's best defensive combination based on the abilities of ninjas of various races, and can be stationed around the supply station that is being rebuilt. Okay, it's them. Sarutobi Hiruzen nodded without objection. To his slight surprise, Chiba's name appeared on the supply list again. However, Hiruzen did not object, but rather agreed with Danzo's arrangement in his heart. Pedal. Suddenly, a figure walked into the office with a dull expression on his face. Homura. Seeing who was coming, Hiruzen and Danzo's eyes fell on each other's faces. Mitokado Homura is a senior member of the decision-making group. Although he is usually unsmiling, he rarely shows a dull expression. It looks like something went wrong. Involuntarily, the two of them came up with this idea. That Chiba has to leave the village today. Mitokado Homura cut to the point as soon as he opened his mouth. Hiruzen and Danzo were taken aback. Without waiting for them to continue asking, Homura turned and left. It seems that Chiba has messed with him. Danzo opened his mouth quietly, as if he knew something. Huh? You know? Ahem. Asked by Hiruzen, Danzo coughed twice. Immediately, he told the news that his subordinates told him last night. One of my subordinates was off shift last night and happened to see Homura in the public bath. Then what? Then. Back then Homura was covered in feces. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Back at the residence, Mitokado Homura was still angry. He never imagined that he, who has experienced many battles and is a high-level village official, would fall into the hands of a little Chiba. The one in the whole village who can control feces, no need to guess, must be Chiba, the shit escaper. Father. At this time, Mito Fujiki came over, fully dressed in ninja clothes. Hearing his son's voice, Homura came to his senses. After looking at Fujiki's attire, he nodded. Fujiki, don't blame me for arranging you to the supply station. You lack experience. Go to supply station number 1 first to learn from other people's experience. Instructing his son earnestly, Homura had a rare fatherly smile on his face. Yes, father. Fujiki responded humbly, making Homura nod repeatedly. Although Homura has a high status in the village, he has only one son, so he was reluctant to send his son to the front line of the border. After all, it was his son who became Nin. Huh? That's right. Suddenly, Homura's eyes lit up. His son Fujiki is going to be stationed at the number 1 supply station soon, and that Chiba seems to be going to the number 1 supply station to deliver supplies. Son, I have a mission for you. Father, please tell me. Fujiki stood upright, excited in his heart. He longs for his father's approval. Do you know the name Chiba? Yeah, that shit-smelling man. Fujiki knew Chiba by name. Not only he knows, almost all the ninjas in Konoha village know. That's the best definition of the word notorious. The supply station you are stationed at is he who is responsible for delivering supplies, and the task I entrust to you is to teach him a lesson when you meet him. Chiba woke up from hunger again. He tried out ninjutsu for a long time last night, and he didn't stop until there was not much chakra left. Usable chakra amount, upgradable, 401/500ths. Glancing at the amount of chakra on the panel, Chiba immediately regained his spirits. He clearly remembered that last night chakra only had more than 50 left, and he recovered to 400 after sleeping. As long as I'm eating a meal, chakra is full in minutes. Touching his shriveled stomach, he jumped off the bed. As soon as he walked out of the house, a familiar figure appeared. It's you? I thought you weren't coming. Seeing the visitor, Chiba was quite pleasantly surprised. In particular, the girl was carrying a lunchbox in her hand. Here's your breakfast. Aburame Jingmei handed over the lunchbox, and then walked around Chiba. My bugs haven't come out yet. With a disappointed tone, she casually took out a tissue from her arms. At first Chiba thought the tissue was for himself, but when he reached out, Jingmei wiped her mouth with the tissue. This tissue is not for you. After explaining a sentence, Jingmei's expression became serious. Eat quickly, and go on the road after eating. On the road? Where? Chiba was stunned, not knowing why. Master Danzo has issued an order. You must deliver supplies to supply station number 1 immediately. I am here to inform you. Outside the mouth of Konoha village. Looking at the bullock cart full of supplies in front of him, Chiba was really confused. Food delivery, ox carts, supplies. All this has been prepared by someone. Even before he got to the bullock cart, Shang Tian, The guard at the entrance of the village, waved goodbye to him wearing a mask. As if sending yourself off? Am I that annoying to you? Sighing, Chiba looked lonely. So, he prepared to leave in a bullock cart. When he walked to the bullock cart, the old cow turned his head and smelled his body. Moo. Accompanied by the sound of the cow, the old cow's hooves kicked the ground and ran away like flying. F*K. I haven't got in the car yet. Wait for me. In the dense forest of the Kingdom of Fire, more than a dozen figures gathered by a river. They were the infiltration team led by Luo Sha. If this scene is seen by the Konoha executives, they will definitely be shocked. Since the 3 supply depots were bombed, everyone thought that the attacking Sand Shinobi had retreated and left the Land of Fire. But now, Luo Sha leads the team and is still lurking? Master Luo Sha, when shall we do it? It seemed a bit unbearable to be asked by Sand Shinobi's subordinates. They have been lurking for 2 days, eating fish every day, almost throwing up. Because of acclimatization. After scanning this subordinate, Luo Sha smiled slightly. Don't worry, it will be soon. When he opened his mouth, his eyes were deep. As a disciple of 3rd Kage, Luo Sha's strength is extremely strong. Not only is his strength at the level of Yanin, but he also possesses the limit of blood successora magnet style. Chiba is going crazy. From outside the village entrance, he has been chasing the ox cart. Which bastard is this bastard looking for? While swearing, Chiba had to run wildly, trying to keep up with the pace of the bullock cart. It is impossible for an ordinary cow to have such a fast speed, it is simply faster than a dog. Looking at the ox cart that was still unable to catch up, Chiba wanted to cry but had no tears. Where is this cow? The speed of the cow was slow and steady, but the cow running wildly in front of him seemed to be running a turbo engine. Its 4 hooves scratched wildly, and ash was thrown up all the way. As a result, Chiba was covered with dust and followed behind to eat dirt. In the end, he couldn't take it anymore and activated his ability directly. The reincarnation of grains. Stop for lousy. Shouting, Chiba couldn't believe that the cow kept running away. Puff. With a violent sound, the old cow stopped. When he finally sat on the ox cart, Chiba was surprised to find that the old ox was paralyzed on the ground and motionless. Could it be that you've run out of energy? Looking at the big pile of cow dung on the ground, Chiba was stunned. He decided to wait. After all, it is understandable for the old cow who has run away to take a rest, and he can just take advantage of this time to have a meal. That's right. Chiba hasn't eaten yet. Taking out the love box lunch that Jingmei prepared for herself, Chiba is ready to serve. After taking a bite, his eyes would involuntarily glance over the cow dung on the ground in front of him. There's no way, the location of this pile of dung happens to be here, and he can't help but look at it. It's disgusting, I'm eating. Muttering to himself, the ability activates. In an instant, the cow dung on the ground floated up and turned into a dung ball, which was swallowed by him directly. Chiba swore again that his mouth was just a channel to the septic tank. After eating, seeing the old cow still lying on the ground, Chiba simply lay down on the cargo, planning to take a nap first. He woke up at noon, and the old cow hadn't moved yet. He was hungry again in the afternoon, but the old cow still didn't move. Now, Chiba is completely messed up. You can't let me get on the cart and take the place of the cow, right? Turning around the old cow, Chiba's face was full of confusion. Finally, he simply went to the woods to pull a bunch of grass and put it in front of the old cow. There is a show. His eyes lit up, and Chiba secretly rejoiced. He saw the old cow buried its mouth in the grass and began to chew. After Chiba's meticulous and considerate care, finally, Lao Niu stood up. The bullock cart starts. There is an emotion called sense of accomplishment in Chiba's heart. The only thing that puzzled him was why there were so many grasses stuck in the cow's nose. Looks like mint leaves? By a river. A dozen or so Sand Shinobi figures surrounded each other in silence. After a long time, one of the figures opened one eye. It's in place. Luo Sha muttered to himself, loosened the mark in his hand, and released the trachoma technique. Then, his other eye opened. Standing up, Luo Sha twisted her stiff neck. Set off. As the sound fell, his figure jumped out first. Behind him, a dozen or so Sand Shinobi were impatient and disappeared in place. Whoosh. 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 Jumping forward quickly in the forest, Luo Sha did not forget to repeat the content of the task. Remember, we started from the number 1 supply station closest to Konoha this time, and pushed all the way to the number 3 supply station. Anyone who encounters during this period, kill. When she said this, Luo Sha's tone was extremely indifferent. Yes, Captain. In unison, everyone's speed remained unchanged, and they kept jumping in the forest. Half an hour later, There was an explosion around Supply Depot 1, which was being rebuilt. Boom. A violent explosion sounded from the forest not far from the supply station, mixed with the ninjas wailing. Broken. Fujiki was shocked, quickly took out kunai, and urged the construction workers to flee to the dense forest. He knew that the place where the explosion just happened was the position of the garrison team, and the wailing sounded a little familiar. Quick. Escape into the forest and run towards the village. While shouting, Fujiki didn't forget to look back, feeling extremely anxious. He had just been promoted to Cha-nin, which was promoted by his father Mitokado Homura through his connections. Therefore, Fujiki seriously lacks combat experience. It is precisely because of this that after arriving here, he was assigned by the captain to supervise the construction of the workers. I hope the captain can withstand. Boom. As soon as he thought of this, a figure flew upside down from the forest and fell heavily in front of Fujiki. It was the captain Yamanaka Jiro. Team leader. Seeing the dying Yamanaka Jiro, Fujiki was shocked. Is this too fast? From the explosion to the present, the team collapsed in just a few breaths. On the ground, Yamanaka Jiro's face was covered with blood and his arm was missing. Rustle. Suddenly, golden sand surged from the ground and appeared under Yamanaka Jiro. Seeing this, Fujiki hurried forward and stretched out his arms, trying to pull the captain out of the range of the sand. Unfortunately, he was one step too late. The golden sand spiraled up, wrapping the seriously injured Yamanaka Jiro. Sand bondage. Accompanied by the indifferent voice, Luo Sha's figure slowly walked out of the forest. Vulnerable. Lightly sweeping over the sluggish vines, Luo Sha's palm slightly shook the void. Puff. The blood splashed all over the place, even splashed all over Fujiki, staining him blood red. Fujiki was dumbfounded. He had never seen such a cruel method. Squeeze people into blood with sand alive. His whole body was trembling, which was the ultimate expression of fear. Waste. Seeing the frightened Konoha shinobi, Luo Sha sneered and prepared to send him on his way. Moo.